Alright, look, this one is a difficult one. This one is difficult because it's another Primaris Lieutenant. It's another one. We've got like 15 of them already or something. Was it 16? Is this the 16th one? There's a lot of Primaris Lieutenants out there in the world, and I would argue that we didn't necessarily need yet another. I know that that's their go-to. That's what they go to now. It's like, okay, we're doing a special thing. Here's a special lieutenant, so on and so forth. Okay, cool. But you could have made this one a captain or something, just not a lieutenant, because I feel like we've had more than enough of those for one particular lifetime, that being mine and everyone else's. But it's difficult because whilst we've definitely had more than enough lieutenants to keep us going for the entirety until the heat death of the universe at this point, this one's actually kind of cool. So I'm split. I'm torn. I'm between two states of mind here, where on the one hand, I object out of principle, I object purely out of stubbornness and spite, but on the other hand, this is kind of badass, and I do quite like it. The tyrannic war veteran vibe with the Tyranid, like, it's kiting, isn't it? I always want to say chitting, but it's not, it's kiting. Or is it the other way around? Either way, that Tyranid stuff being bound to the arm and the shoulder to replace like broken armor, that is badass. I love that. I love that a lot. It tells its own cool little story, does that? This is someone who has been fighting for a long time. In less than ideal circumstances, they are being forced to make do with whatever he can get his hands on to reinforce his armor, to keep him going in battle, and to make sure that he can continue doing his job of presumably gutting Xenos freaks, which is exactly what I want to see. That is a nice little bit of storytelling. I maybe would have liked a little bit more of it. Weirdly, I think like just a bit extra, like on the knee maybe, or like over one of the legs, something like that. That would be cool. Maybe there being some sort of crack in the power pack that also has a little bit of armor over the top. To be honest, that's probably stuff that you can green stuff if you really wanted to add extra to. But I would have liked to see the motif carried on just a little bit more. Then again, I say that. Would I like that, or would I have said that it's too busy if that was like part of the model? Because he is kind of busy. He's got multiple like grenades on the chest there. There's the strap with the gun, which is it looks like a combi flamer. Nice. And there's also multiple pouches at the belt. There's also, I think, another knife, or at least a scabbard off on the on the hip there. He's also holding two knives, with a third knife stabbed into the corpse of a termagant, I assume. Which, I mean, that's a lot of knives to carry. That's a significant number of combat knives. You can't say that this guy has gone into battle without enough bladed weaponry. He's all over it. He even has a talon there as well, just in case. Maybe that's the backup. Maybe if he drops all three of his knives, he can just grab that off the belt and use that instead. Is that heresy? I think it's probably heresy. Nah, who cares? I will say, I'm someone who constantly reinforces the idea that helmets are good, helmets are important. We like helmets. Helmets look grand on Space Marines. Helmets look grand on most things. This lad has not learned his lesson. Now, it might just be that actually he was wearing his helmet and he got slashed across the head so severely it broke said helmet and cut down into the skin, right down to the bone, because those are some gnarly scars he's got on his head there. Those are pretty bad. That looks like it would smart just a little bit. You would absolutely feel that in the morning, is what I'm saying. And yet, he has not thought to cover said head with anything else after receiving that injury. That's like bordering on arrogance, okay? That's bordering into arrogant territory. That is someone who has very nearly had their actual brain scooped out of their skull by the enemy that he's fighting. And having had this happen, instead of looking for a replacement helmet or making himself a little Tyranid hat, a little bit of Tyranid armor plating just over the scalp there, instead he's going barehead. Now, you could say as well, it's not really barehead. He's got the rebreather at the bottom. He's got the bottom half of the helmet. This is true, but the bottom half of the helmet looks relatively undamaged. The top of his head, however, has clearly been bashed in by something. I would suggest that at that point, you need to take a step back, you need to fully evaluate how you're approaching battle, and you need to say to yourself, I should probably replace that. I should probably do something about that, because it's already happened once. Chances are it's going to happen again. Maybe I shouldn't tempt fate by just having my bald head out with me giant scars, when clearly things are bad enough that my armour is getting wrecked left, right and centre. There is a lesson here, and it's not been learned, and yet I still really like it. I do like it. There's just a really cool attitude to this model. It's got a really cool vibe. I really like the use of the Tyranid parts to reinforce the armour. It's such a cool little bit of storytelling, like, in the model itself. Even the way the Tyranid parts have been put onto the arm and the shoulder using those straps. Like, that's great. It looks awesome. It looks improvised. It looks quickly done. It looks a little bit shoddy, but it's the best that could be done in a short amount of time. I love that. I'm not even a big fan of this mark of armour, to be honest, but I can let this one slide. This one gets the seal of approval. Yes, there are far too many lieutenants, but this one can stay. If we're getting rid of a load of them, this one can stay. Or at least that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. In the meantime, don't forget to like and Patreon and subscribe and all that, all the usual call to actions that you're supposed to do at the ends of these videos that I usually mess up. And as always, there's an affiliate link in the description for Element Games, which you can use to support the channel if you would like. I leave it in your capable hands. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.